it's interesting because being that I have contact with some very, very high level people, and I knew about that. That's why I introduced that part of it. This over here, it was called the $5 Indian. In other words, when the government was giving out grants, land grants, and property grants to Native Americans by proof of lineage, white people, blonde with blue eyes, were saying, I'm 164th or I am 164th Indian. And if they didn't look like it, all they had to do was pay $5 to the white man behind there, and they would be logged in as a Native American. So we're watching this $5 Indian protocol being put down by desperate Europeans looking for a place on this particular planet where they don't belong, where they were seeded, where they were meant to create havoc in order to prevent, and I'm going into a whole other set of secrets, to prevent any further exploration and any further attempts to come out of the specific sphere of influence that we as indigenous people had created for ourselves here on this planet. We went beyond the zone and breached beyond the zone of the gods and began to deal with that particular realm and began to threaten it. So it was necessary to make sure that the lineages of black people here were no longer allowed to use their genius that was formulated here with what I call the circle of Imhoteps, because even India had its own Imhotep in the form of a man by the name of Mahmudi Mahayan. And this dude, he quantified space and time into something called the Maonic sciences. That's something that most people have not studied. Of course, in studying Kemet, we don't understand that there was a society and a civilization as advanced spiritually as Kemet over there in India. So what we're looking at right now is that there is I will believe there was an attempt, and this is in my book, there was an attempt to suppress or to somehow undermine the levels of consciousness that we as black people had achieved while in this particular dome of consciousness reference. And what has happened is when you want to undermine something, you seed their environment with a disease. This European cannot find any evidence of his humanity. In fact, he, in his own biological research, has said that the only true humans are south of the Sahara. Okay? Everyone else, he doesn't know. He doesn't say that the Neanderthal is even human, and he says he comes from the Neanderthal. So what is he? Obviously, he was seeded here at a time, during that time, or we could always say that he came as a result or as offshoot of the fact that, we went to an ice age and we stayed there long enough, lost our melanin, lost the fact that we, our nose became pinched and so forth. We could talk about that. But if in his science he can't find any reference to his origins, it means that he was seeded here for the exact purpose he was seated here to do, and that was to undermine and to destroy the foundational premises of consciousness for black people because of what we had attained. If you look at the large picture, because if you own money's mother, what else is there for you to do except to be here to manage the population of black people or to make sure that their genius was kept at a specific level? Because in everything that you're allowed to do, we supersede him. Everything. That's not a mistake. We have been imprisoned for a reason. That reason now is what we need to do to find out in order for us to escape. Our escape plan. What are we doing to get out of this particular condition? Well, the first thing is to know what the guard is made up of. Who the hell is the guard? Why was the guard placed here? What is it about us that allows for us to be incarcerated within our own lands, within our own space and consciousness? There is something deeper than just white and black, just racism alone. Racism is a tool. Racism is a political tool to make sure that everything about you, your body, mind, and soul, is suppressed. So when you are actually using racism and white supremacy, what are you doing? You are suppressing the consciousness growth of a specific targeted people, and that is for a specific reason. So above and beyond you hating the black skin of the black man, above and beyond you putting some piss-colored cave maggot blonde as the epitome of beauty, and constantly looking at these creatures on thing, and having our sisters having to bleach themselves to look at that, that is essentially someone who knows that they're a recessive, who knows that they're not human, who is pushing their lack of humanity and less than human characteristics on you to demean and suppress whatever it is that lays dormant within you as a gods and goddesses. So coming to realize what your imprisoner or your jailer or your bondsman really is, coming to understand the system of slavery that's on paper, that has you adhered to a piece of paper. You fell from the golden age to the bronze age to the paper age, because all we need to do is put paper out on you. All you need to do is have paper in your pocket. All you need to do is to throw papers on somebody, and you can move a system with power. So what am I saying? I'm saying, brothers and sisters, that there is something else much deeper that we have to look for in understanding and overstanding what it is that we are incarcerated in. Not just a system of white supremacy, but what would be the overall reason for white supremacy? What is there about white supremacy that needs to have an autonomous existence, and it must suppress everything, it must destroy everything else for it to exist? Well, for me, a cancer does the same thing to a body once it has been infested.